So this is the last chapter. It is called Dealing with the Djinn. There are appendices at the back. I might read those. Depends how I feel. Right. How can humanity counter the influences of beings as powerful as the Djinn? They seem to have many advantages over us, but we are not without recourse. Since ancient times, people have developed ways of warding off and repelling all sorts of negative entities and their effects. Some remedies against demons can be applied to troublesome Djinn, but others do not work. Here we discuss some of the ways humans have successfully dealt with Djinn. Exorcising Djinn. Islamic belief holds that Djinn possess people for a variety of reasons. They attack those whose faith is weak or non-existent and those who are not religiously inclined. Sudden emotional and physical shocks, bouts of depression and fear and anxiety make a person vulnerable to possession by ripping tears in his or her barrier of spiritual protection, the aura. The Djinn, having no defined form, can slip through these tears and cracks quite easily. It is believed that a person should never go to bed crying or with feelings of fear and worry, as this invites the Djinn to attack during sleep. A fall in the bathroom, considered a polluted place, is especially dangerous and can result in Djinn possession. People who willfully or accidentally injure Djinn can become ill or possessed as well. And as explained earlier, people with whom the Djinn have become infatuated may become possessed. Whatever the causes of Djinn possession, exorcism is usually required. There's a little footnote. As noted earlier concerning Tsar cases, cajoling, reconciliation and bribery are sometimes used to appease possessing Djinn who cause domestic problems. Exorcism is not only rightful but obligatory, part of one's duty to aid the oppressed, fight evil and promote righteousness. Muhammad said that those who aid others will be rewarded on the day of resurrection. The duty to alleviate suffering extends to both humans and Djinn. Some modern scholars dispute the reality of Djinn possession, but traditionalists point to the Quran Hadith literature and the anecdotal record as evidence that possessions have indeed occurred throughout history and continue to plague people in modern times. It is not permissible to abandon or decline to treat a person who is possessed if someone has the ability and time to do so. Exorcism, said the Quranic scholar Ibn Taymiyyah, is the most noble of deeds. It is among the deeds performed by the prophets and the righteous who have continually repelled the devils from mankind, using what has been commanded by Allah and his messenger. Aid should be rendered in only the same way that Muhammad and his companions acted. Whatever actions are allowed concerning humans are allowed concerning Djinn. Djinn have been ordered to worship Allah, according to Islamic law. Possession without the consent of the human is a grave offence against God and is forbidden, but Djinn do it anyway. They must be informed that they do not have the right to occupy a human body or home, for that matter, without consent. If a jinni has possessed a person out of lust, it must be so informed that it has committed a forbidden act. If it possesses a person who has accidentally harmed a jinni, it must be told that the person acted out of ignorance and with no intent to harm. If the jinn do not cease after being warned, it is permissible to punish them. A person can summon one jinni to banish or kill another who is causing possession, but whether or not they obey such commands is questionable. Taking refuge in the Quran. The most reliable and permissible ways of exorcising or repelling jinn involve reciting certain verses from the Quran. All of the verses of the Quran are considered the will of Allah and create a structure and order to daily life. The words are powerful and, if recited with deep faith, have a great positive effect. In relation to jinn, certain verses will chase them away and purify any environment. Angels listen to the words as well and be called upon for help. Quranic verses considered especially effective against the jinn and their whisperings in the ear are the Al-Mu'awwidid Hatatan. Oh my Christ. So Al-MUAWWIDHATAYN. I've got somebody that would be able to pronounce that for me. Al-Mu'awwidatan. And the Al-Kursi. The Al-Mu'awwidatan are the last two chapters of the Quran. Al-Falaq, the dawn, and An-Nas, mankind. 113 and 114 respectively. Al-Falaq, the dawn. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of the dawn, from the evil which he has created, from the evil of the night when it falls, from the evil of sorcerers who blow on knots, and from the evil of the envier when he is envious. An-Nas, mankind. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind, the King of mankind, the God of mankind, from the evil of the slinking whisperer, who whispers in the hearts of men, from among the Djinn and mankind. The Al-Kursi, the footstool or the throne, is verse 255 from the second surah of the Quran. Al-Baqarah, the cow. It is considered to be highly effective in warding off Djinn and countering their evil spells, as well as exorcising them from the possessed. It also nullifies illusions caused by the Djinn, devil-aided supernatural feats, and the erroneous thinking and acts of musicians, tyrants, and the lecherous and lustful. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Allah, there is no God but He, the living, the self-subsisting, the eternal. No slumber can seize Him, nor sleep. All things in heaven and earth are His. Who could intercede in His presence without His permission? He knows what appears in front and behind His creatures, nor can they encompass any knowledge of Him except what He wills. His throne extends over the heavens and the earth, and He feels no fatigue in guarding and preserving them. For He is the highest and most exalted. Allah the Most High speaks the truth. According to Hadith literature, the Al-Kursi recommendation came from a jinni. The Sahih al-Bukhari tells a story of a man whom Muhammad put in charge of the food collected for charity at the end of Ramadan. One night, the man caught a stranger rummaging through the food. The stranger said he was in great need because he was poor and had a family. The man let the stranger go. When informed, Muhammad said the stranger was a liar and would return. Sure enough, he did, and once again begged off on claims of poverty, promising he would not return. The man let him go. Muhammad repeated that the stranger was a liar and would return. On the next night, the stranger came back and the man grabbed him. This time the stranger said that in exchange for letting him go, he would give him some words that would prevent Satan from approaching during sleep at night. It was the Al-Kursi. Muhammad told the man that the stranger told the truth, but revealed his identity as an evil jinni. Reading the entire chapter of Al-Baqarah at night is good for keeping evil jinn away and for banishing a troublesome Karin. Muhammad said, everything has a hump, and the Quran's hump is Surah Al-Baqarah. Satan will not enter the house of whoever reads it at night for 3 days. Another accepted practice is to read just the last two verses, 285 and 286 of Al-Baqarah, for 3 consecutive nights. The messenger believes in what has been sent down to him from his Lord, and so do the believers. Each one believes in Allah, His angels, His books, and His messengers. They say, we make no distinction between one another of His messengers. And they say, we hear and we obeyed. We seek your forgiveness, our Lord, and to you is the return of all. Allah burdens not a person beyond his scope. He gets reward for that good which he has earned, and is punished for that evil which he has earned. Our Lord, punish us not if we forget or fall into error. Our Lord, lay not on us a burden like that, which you did not lay on those before us, Jews and Christians. Our Lord, put not on us a burden greater than we have strength to bear. Pardon us and grant us forgiveness. Have mercy on us. You are our matron, protector, and give us victory over the disbelieving people. Invoking the name of Allah and cursing is another tactic. Muhammad repelled Iblis once when the Jinni attempted to interfere with his prayer. Iblis thrust a fiery torch in his face, and Muhammad said 3 times, I seek refuge in Allah from you, and then 3 times, I curse you by Allah's perfect curse. But Iblis did not back off, so Muhammad grabbed hold of him and choked him, and could feel the coldness of the Jinn's spittle on his hands. Had it not been for Solomon's prayer, Muhammad said, he would have tied Iblis to a post as a public spectacle. Allah forced the Jinni away. This incident established a precedent for evoking Allah's curse against offending Jinn. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan is recited prior to reading the Quran and serves as a general protection from the influences of evil. There are 99 beautiful names of Allah that can be invoked. Each name has an angel servant. Some believe there are both a Jinni and an angel who attend each name. Repeating a name with enough faith can make its servant appear. If a person is pure, the angel comes. If not, the Jinni comes. Possessing Jinn should be urged to convert to Islam. As we noted earlier, Jinn who say they will convert or have converted often lie and repeatedly possess people. In 1987, a possession case of a Muslim woman in Riyadh, how do I say that? Riyadh. Good job you're here. Made international news. The offending Jinni had supposedly already converted to Islam, but possessed the woman anyway. The exorcist reminded the Jinni that it was committing a sin, and it replied, through the female victim, but in a male voice. But it was a Buddhist Jinni from India. The exorcist cajoled and shamed the Jinni into converting to Islam, and to agreeing to preach conversion to its own people. It departed the woman, who remained free of possession for at least 2 months. At the last report, whether or not the deceitful Jinni possessed anyone else or fulfilled its promise to proselytize to other Jinn is not known. Beating the Jinn out of a body. In Quranic recitations, orders cajoling and cursing have no effect on Jinn. Tradition holds that it is permissible to threaten them with beating and striking them by actually beating the victim. It is believed that only the Jinni and not the victim feels any pain from the blows. If the victim screams, it is really the Jinni screaming in agony. I don't know what. Hundreds of blows may be necessary to drive a Jinni from a person's body, which supposedly will show no signs of the beating. Me and Mark don't know what to think about that one.
I do know what to think.
Well, we do, but probably too scared to say. Muhammad used beatings to exorcise Jinn. He struck one possessed boy with great force and then wiped his face with water and said a prayer over him. The exorcism was successful. The power of breath. In esoteric lore, breath has supernatural or mystical power, either for good or for bad. Breath transmits power and can also deplete the life force. Muhammad once said the sacred power of his breath to expel Jinn. Once used the sacred power of his breath to expel Jinn. He blew 3 times into the mouth of a possessed boy and said, in the name of Allah, I am a slave of Allah. Be driven away, O enemy of Allah. The boy was healed. Popular exorcisms. In addition to the official religious ways of dealing with Jinn, there are myriads of folk remedies. Books offering help to counter Jinn oppression and possession, witchcraft and the evil eye are popular in marketplaces. The book's rituals are often complicated and readers mix them with folklore they have learned from their own families, usually their mothers. It is usually advised to keep these books hidden away. Some of the lore in these books is undoubtedly derived from Solomonic, I can't say that word, tradition. Flavius Josephus said Solomon left behind exorcism techniques that others successfully used. He himself witnessed such an exorcist named Eleazar, who expelled a demon in a demonstration to the Roman Emperor Vespasian, his sons, military captains and troops. He put a ring that had a foot of one of those sorts mentioned by Solomon to the nostrils of the demoniac, after which he drew out the demon through his nostrils, and when the man fell down immediately, he adjured him to return into him no more, making still mention of Solomon, and reciting the incantations which he composed. And when Eleazar, would persuade and demonstrate to the spectators that he had such a power, he set a little way off a cup or basin full of water, and commanded the demon, as he went out of the man, to overturn it, and thereby to let the spectators know that he had left the man. And when this was done, the skill and wisdom of Solomon was shown very manifestly. For which reason it is that all men may know the vastness of Solomon's abilities, and how he was beloved of God, and that the extraordinary virtues of every kind with which this king was endowed may not be unknown to any people under the sun. An example of folk remedy for possession comes from folk tales such as found in the Book of 1001 Nights. Take 7 hairs out of the tail of a cat that is all black except for a white spot on the end of its tail. Burn the hairs in a small closed room with the possessed victim, filling their nose with the scent. This releases them from the spell of the Djinn. The simplest Djinn repellent, also acceptable from a religious perspective, is to say the word Bismillah. That's what is in that song. Bismillah, we should not let you go. Bismillah, we will not let you go. Let you go. Oh, oh, oh. Mamma mia. Fame. No. Bohemian Rhapsody. And I've got a theory about that song, haven't I, Mark? I have got it's good theory.
Well, he is actually from a Muslim background.
Yeah. Well, Bismillah, we will not let you go. Sometimes spelled Basmala, in the name of Allah, or in the name of God and compassionate and merciful. For example, one should not say that Satan must be degraded, for it will have the opposite effect of enabling him to become as big as a house. Instead, one should say, Bismillah, we will not let you... You'd have to say that bit. Which will reduce him to the size of a fly. In the 1950s, a surveyor for an oil company in Saudi Arabia was in a remote part of the desert. He drove a surveying stake into the sand and accidentally hit a jinni who lived underground. That night, after he went to bed in his tent, invisible jinn attacked him. They bound his hands with invisible ties. He felt an intense burning in his wrists and was unable to move his arms. He was unable to speak. Others in camp heard a strange voice shout, "You have attacked us, you must be punished," but they could not see anyone. The surveyor was flown to a hospital. Doctors were able to stop the burning pain, but they could not restore his ability to speak. They sent him home. His wife cared for him, but his condition did not improve. Finally, she took him to see a Mutawa, religious man, who was famous for his jinn exorcisms. The Mutawa determined that the surveyor was possessed by several jinn, who told him how one of their kind must have been injured by the surveyor's stake. The Mutawa read the Quran over the man, and the jinn agreed to depart. When they did, the pain left the man, and he could speak again. Prevailing wisdom held that his possession could have been avoided if he had said the Bismillah before he drove the stake into the ground. The footnote for that: Robert, who said that? Robert Lebling, Djinn discussion group. Okay. Another case in which the Bismillah could have prevented Djinn malice concerned a falconer who was visited by an acquaintance. The guest picked up a small lizard on the ground and fed it to the falcon, which killed it by spearing it in its right eye. The falcon ate the lizard. Soon after that, the guest felt a searing pain in his right eye, which then popped out of his head. The man fell over dead. He had killed a jinni in the form of the lizard, and the other jinn exacted swift revenge. According to prevailing wisdom, if the man had said the Bismillah before giving the lizard to the falcon, the jinni would have disappeared and become a meal for the bird. Many people with jinn and black magic problems consult a sheikh for help, to exorcise, cast or break spells. Sheikhs vary in their exorcism and magical skills and must be confident and know what to do at all moments. For the jinn will try to paralyse their tongue and prevent the right words from being said, ensuring things will go wrong. For example, a woman in Cairo was convinced that a spirit was in love with her and came to her at night to make passionate love. She consulted a sheikh to chase it away. It departed but came back as a dog and then in the form of her husband. Some sheikhs perform exorcisms with special amulets, talismans and incantations from magical texts, but these are considered shirk, a neglect of one's duties, or in some cases, unforgivable sin. Making animal sacrifices to Djinn is strictly forbidden. Like mediums everywhere, some sheikhs are not above fraud. Ibn Taymiyyah related an account of a sheikh who fraudulently caused possessions and then performed exorcisms for fees. He would send Djinn in his service to possess someone and then be hired to exorcise the Djinn. In addition, his servant Djinn stole food and valuables from those they possessed and delivered them to the sheikh. A favoured, respectable remedy is Zamzam water, a miracle water that a sheikh may decide to administer to a possessed person. Zamzam is a famous well in Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the sacred mosque in Mecca. I probably said that wrong as well. Near the Kaaba. The well is only 5 feet deep and is self-replenishing. Its water plays an important role in Islamic faith. Allah quenched the thirst of the infant Ishmael, son of Ibrahim, when he was an infant. His mother, Hajra, searched for the water in vain. She climbed to the tops of Mount Al-Safa and Mount Al-Marwa, praying to Allah for help. Allah sent the Archangel Jibril, Jibril, who struck the earth. Water appeared. When Muhammad was a child, 2 angels appeared and washed his heart in Zamzam water to strengthen and purify it and enable him to see the kingdoms of earth and heaven. Muhammad also drank from the well. According to Hadith literature, the water of Zamzam is for whatever purpose it is drunk for. It is a blessing and it is a food that satisfied. Zamzam water is used for magical exorcism and healing purposes. Applying the words of the Quran directly to the possessed body is considered an effective and popular way to ward off or expel possessing jinn. Verses from the Quran are written in certain kinds of approved ink on paper, which is dipped in water. The treated water is used for bathing or drinking by the afflicted and sick. Verses are carved into bread, which is baked and eaten. Verses are put into alphabet soup and eaten. When the Quran is recited before sleep, one should first blow into one's hands and wipe them over the body. Adults who experience sudden shocks and upsets should immediately spit on their chests. This practice has pre-Islamic roots in ancient and universal folklore that holds that spittle is a protective agent against evil entities and forces, especially the evil eye. Spittle represents the soul, and to spit it out on the body or on the ground is an offering to the gods for luck and protection. According to widespread custom, spitting should be done immediately when one senses supernatural danger. Practices in early Roman times include spitting in the right shoe every morning, spitting into the toilet after urination, spitting on the breast or on the ground 3 times, and spitting while passing any place where danger might exist. Protection using science. We do not claim that the methods above are successful with dealing with the jinn. Many rituals of exorcism are so ancient that they come from a time when fear of the supernatural ruled everyone's mind. These older rituals might work if you encounter a jinni who believes in the old ways or is afraid it will be held accountable by God at the end of time. Some older jinn believed in the existence of angels and might be fearful that one might intervene. Having free will, jinn think like people do. Some are religious and can be controlled by saying the name of God. Others are atheists and cannot be controlled in this manner. If a jinni does not believe in God or angels, reciting passages from the Bible and Quran will have no effect. In some of the cases that we have investigated or researched, the entities seem to show increased anger and aggression when a Bible or other religious book is used as a weapon to try to drive it away. In some instances, the entity played along and seemed amused at the attempts of the exorcist. Westerners may not have access to Muslim experts, sheikhs, Zamzam water, or be able to recite the Quran in its native Arabic. Are there other ways to counter the jinn? Electromagnetic disruptions. We must regard jinn as another form of intelligent being in the universe and not as supernatural creatures. although when compared to humans, they are capable of incredible feats and have a very long lifespan. They are still beings with limited abilities. It is our belief that the Djinn are composed of plasma. This is their strength, but also a weakness. Plasma can be affected by electromagnetic pulses and other types of magnetic fields. Plasma can also be disrupted by a high voltage burst of electricity. We have many cases in our files of people being tormented by some unseen force in their own homes. In such cases, the victims found that when they turned on their lights, radio, television and computer, the disturbances decreased in severity or stopped completely. However, if everything was shut off, the disturbances would start again within a short time. Alternating current and the electrical items listed above create magnetic fields. The Djinn are not permanently harmed by them, but they suffer pain or other discomfort. It's important to note that this electrical method may only work on the less powerful green Djinn. It may have little or no effect on a Jinni of greater power belonging to a higher order. The Tesla coil. A Tesla coil is a resonant transformer that will produce high voltage current. It was invented by Nikola Tesla in 1891. The Tesla coil works by generating an electrical field in the air. Depending on the coil's size, it can light fluorescent lights, neon tubes, cathode ray tubes, and other gases without a physical connection. We got one of those? Mm-hmm. The Tesla coil produces an electromagnetic wave that can interfere with radio and television reception and cause digital watches to malfunction. Small coils can be purchased from a number of scientific distributors, and although they tend to be somewhat pricey, are interesting to use in experiments. We have 2 small coils at our disposal, but have not used them in the field since we are waiting for the right case to try them. The small coil may not drive the Djinn away, but theoretically it could be used to keep the disturbances at a minimum. The range of these small Tesla coils is limited to a small room. Operating one may not banish a Jinni, however. It may only retreat to another part of the house in frustration and anger, and then cause even greater disturbances there. Their energy level is sporadic. Djinn consume energy as a main source of sustenance. Like humans, they get tired when they are very active, and then they require rest. In many homes that are experiencing paranormal phenomena, the activity is sporadic and sometimes cyclic in nature. If a Jinni is responsible, then during times of inactivity it may be resting. Djinn have longer lifespans than humans. When we rest, some of us may sleep for 8 hours. When a Jinni sleeps, it could remain dormant for decades. The length of time a Jinni sleeps depends on its age, its level of power, its health, and how much energy it has used. While at rest, a Jinni is at its most vulnerable, perhaps presenting the best opportunity to remove it. Final words. Djinn are composed of plasma, and like all plasma, are greatly affected by magnetic fields. If you're having paranormal disturbances in your home, such as shadow people, poltergeists, strange lights and other signs of haunting, try keeping lights and electrical appliances turned on. Unless you're an engineer, we don't recommend buying devices that generate electromagnetic fields like the Tesla coil, as they consume a considerable amount of power and could be dangerous if used improperly. We are constantly seeking information to learn more about the Djinn and their purpose in this world. If you are having experiences similar to the ones we've discussed, please contact us. Unfortunately, Rosemary's passed away, and this was written years ago, so I don't know if you can still contact Phil. It says, we respond to all letters and in some cases may want to visit your home and do an on-site investigation. Like I say, this is an old book. That probably isn't a thing. One final word to all paranormal investigators. Please consider the Djinn as part of the paranormal world. We believe that once you become acquainted with the Djinn race, many of the more perplexing cases you investigate might make more sense. Also consider that you are dealing with very old entities, and even the youngest of these beings are much older than most of human history. We hope the publication of this book will help inform people in Western countries about this ancient race of neighbours who live next door but who we rarely see. Right, so Appendix 1 is Djinn's social structure. But I think I've already been through this. Let's go through it again. Djinn's social structure. So you've got Djinn kings, and then clans, and then families, and then on the same level you've got outcasts and rebels. So kings. Powerful black Djinn. It is not known if all Djinn are ruled by one king or many. clans. No one really knows how many clans exist. They are ruled by blue or yellow Djinn and obey a Djinn king. Families. A yellow Djinn or older green Djinn may lead a Djinn family. A family usually consists of a Djinn who are related, but this may not always be the case. Outcasts. Djinn who have no living family or those who have been exiled from a family or are considered outcasts. Most are not necessarily evil, but may be dangerous to other Djinn and humans. Rebels. Djinn that broke away from the order of a king, clan or family. They are called red Djinn and are considered evil and very dangerous to humans. Red Djinn may be the demons of religious writings. They follow Iblis instead of God. Appendix 2. Djinn order of power. So black Djinn, black Djinn and red Djinn are on the same level, but they're separate. But the ones that are joined up are, it's difficult to explain. Black Djinn, blue Djinn, yellow Djinn, green Djinn, and out by itself at the top there is red Djinn. Black Djinn, the most powerful of all Djinn. Little is known about them. The only reference we have is from ancient Persia, where they were called Shamir. Blue Djinn, the elders and clan leaders of the Djinn order. They have little interaction with humans, but have been known to participate in important moments of history. They are known as Marid, Nekratil, and Afrit. Yellow Djinn, middle-aged Djinn with considerable power. Most are family leaders. They have little if no interest in the human race and the physical world. They are known as Juzam, and the nastier ones are called Afriti. Green Djinn, youngest and least powerful of the Djinn. They are curious and like to interact with the human race in the physical world. Many young ones like to play pranks on humans. They are known as Aranam, Kukus, Amir, Arwat, Jan and Amir. Red Djinn, very old and powerful Djinn. Most were once blue Djinn. They worship Iblis and their goal is to destroy all humans. They are served by other Djinn and in rare cases humans. Some serve willingly, some by force. They are known as ghouls, shaitan or shaiteen and ifrit. Right. Okay, that's enough of that. I finished it. So now the quest is what to read next. Okay, bye.